All right. All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rechak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And this is going to be a response, of some sort. I was watching the brother. Let me share the tab instead. His channel is GMS Strive for the Masteries 144. Right, Malak Rayab. And he actually did a lesson. He just the live just ended on something that had happened in our past at camp, right, last week or a couple of days ago. And it was very spiritual, right? And I definitely had it in mind to do a lesson on it, but I just spirit hadn't prompted me yet. But yeah, pretty much what I wanted to do was just recount what had happened that day, and how it was highly spiritual, and then go into a few precepts on that because it definitely highlights the importance of having faith and actually believing in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, and understanding that we're in the times now where the Lord is going to have more and more spiritual things happen, and you have to see it as such. Okay, as the scriptures mention, being full of faith. Okay, so long story short, the lady you see before you in the screen, that is her husband, on the wearing the black shirt, and they're from the northern kingdom. I'm not sure what exact tribe they're from, but they basically came up to the camp before, and before um, going into basically what had happened here, which I'll play the video as well. I want to mention something that was very interesting was on our way to camp. The brother was myself, Aharon, Imna, and Shalomah. And on our way to camp, we saw an unusual amount of 144s. Okay, like the number 144s. A lot of it was mainly on like the license plates of cars. Sometimes you'll see that a lot. But I'd say about just that morning alone, it was about at least 10 different occurrences of just seeing the number 144, 144, 144. Sometimes it's 441. Okay, but it's always in that sequence. And we see that as a spiritual number. And so once, okay, twice, okay, 2, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, then it starts to become like, all right, hold on. Yo, what's going on? Like usually you don't see that many like that. And I remember we were discussing that something is happening in the spirit, because like that's a whole lot, for just one car ride on our way to camp. That's a whole lot of occurrences of seeing 144. So long story short, we made it to camp, and usually when we hold camp here, this isn't the spot where we stand, right? We're usually on the other side of where these trees are, and for some reason the brother Haran was like, "Hey, we can go to the side. It looks like it's more shady and cool." So that's where we were, and we were teaching for a while, and I noticed the lady come up from obviously on our left. And at first, she looked like she was by herself, but her husband, his initial direction was back there, right, all the way back there. And so when I first saw her, obviously we're at camp, so in my mind, I'm alert. I'm saying like, okay, I don't know who this is, what's going on. And her husband, I could see, who was on the other side, was calling out to her, right? But she basically walked up to us. She didn't speak English, and she walked up to us. She was just standing there for a while. She looked like she was going through some sort of affliction, but she was just standing there for a while on our side, on our left side, and then eventually she walked to the direction where she is now, and she wasn't saying anything, but she was just listening, and she was looking at the Haran was speaking, and I believe Shai was speaking, and she was looking very intently. I could see like she was just looking at, almost as though she understood, but obviously she didn't understand what he was saying. So she's just standing there for a minute or two, and her husband was calling her, you know. And I looked at him when he was calling her, and he was beckoning to her, basically like, you know, like, come on, let's just go, like, leave them, let's just go, like, what is this, you know, like, just leave it. And so he would call her, and she would turn, and she would look at him, and then she would just turn back and just be fixated on the brother that's speaking, and just listening and just listening and just listening. And at one point, she sort of just like held like the sides of her stomach, and she had like an expression of pain on her face, you know, when she did that. And then she just went back to listening. And that pretty much is what led up to this scene here, where after about 3 times, when her husband called her, and she would turn to him, and then she would like turn back and just keep on listening. She eventually, you know, started to basically, she started to speak to us, but she was speaking in Spanish. So the brother Aishar was mainly translating. And I'm just giving like a little recap of it, and then I'll play the video so you have context as to, you know, what it is that you're looking at. And so she starts asking in Spanish. And so, you know, we look to the brother, and he says that she was looking at a Haran because he was speaking at the time, and she wanted to know, like, what is he saying, or like, what is he trying to say? Because I guess she sensed the spirit, but she just didn't understand because of the language barrier. And so then, you know, we were able to translate, because she started speaking, and Aisha spoke in Spanish to her and let her know, like, oh, we're teaching the Bible, you know, we're speaking about the scriptures. And then her husband ends up quoting a precept, which was Isaiah 14 and 21, if I remember correctly, which goes into preparing slaughter for the wicked, for the iniquity of their fathers, roughly paraphrasing that. Now, what's interesting is he himself wasn't aware of what like the precept said. He just quoted it, right? But when we actually read it to him, it was kind of like, oh, okay, like he almost like, oh yeah, cool. I don't even understand the context of it, but it's spiritual that he called for that. So once we were able to translate, which I ended up using Chat GPT to just ask, like, hey, translate what she's saying. And at that very moment when she was speaking, she was basically asking for us to pray for her, right? She was asking for prayer. And it's interesting because, one, where we are wasn't, you know, it's just it's just us, right, by some trees, and we're teaching. And so when she came there, she didn't ask for money, she didn't ask for, you know, for food, she didn't ask for anything, she just asked for prayer, right? And she sincerely, you know, you could see it in her eyes, like she sincerely was in need of help, but she also believed, you know, that whatever prayer it is, we're gonna, you know, pray for her, that it would work. And you'll see that, right, by when she comes down and we actually pray for her. And then afterwards, you know, we just helped them out a bit, gave them a little bit of money, and then sent them on their way. All right, they basically eventually left. But it was just a very spiritual moment, you know, in that, which I'm just going to play it so you can see it for yourself, and then we can go into a couple of precepts here. But just wanted to give a bit of context as to what led up to that. So let me actually take it back a bit.
I'm telling you. But hey, the Lord said, my servant shall eat. Right. So that was like we always say, that was just a simulation, right? You know, a testing, you know, by these devils, but also in the spirit by the Lord, right? To show, like, hey, I will hold y'all down because you kept the word of my patience. Yes, huh?
No, go ahead.
No, good.
No, because we're talking about technology, and I forgot about this because it's 2 articles. One is about America, and the other is about Russia, ironically. So it's from Energy Reporters, and it's a European energy news platform. It says 44 tons of 57 miles per hour. U.S. unveils first autonomous warship carrying Tomahawk missiles without any crew. It said the unveiling of the aircraft.
So at this point, I believe she's there, and her husband probably at that point was calling her. That's why we looked.
Single MC, a groundbreaking 44-ton AI-driven warship by the United States, signals of transformative shift in naval warfare with unprecedented speed, autonomy, and advanced offensive capabilities. Now, you know, what I'm saying, because like a lot of times, remember, these niggas, these military people, remember, they're all gonna go underground. So they're not gonna be all, they're not Trump gonna press no buttons. They all gonna wait when it gets crazy enough. And they said, now it's time to go to our bunkers. And then they're gonna have all this automatic shit. They say, well, press that button. One guy press that button, and they gonna just go fly all over the place. They're gonna have to see it all and play all of the chaos, robots through the streets, everything. That's gonna be Esau's kingdom. How he goes out is at his top of his technology.
Hey, but you know what's crazy too, though? They're so advanced with warlike technology, but yet when the video came out, I think earlier last week or this week, where they had a chariot coming through, and they had a missile. I forget what they called that missile, and it hit the chariot, and the chariot just moved, and it kept going down straight.
So at this point, I think it was a little before this. I might have missed it, but the other Tazon basically leaned over and he was asking me because she was watching and just listening, and he asked, let me see if I can go back and find it. But he basically asked if I think, he was like, do you think that she understands what we're saying? And I said, I mean, I don't think she understands. Like, I don't think she understands. I don't think she speaks English. Or I said, I don't know, one of those things. And then a few seconds later, I said, but I'm sure she understands spirit, right? And I sort of just said that jokingly. So we just sort of laughed about it a little bit, but little did we know that that's exactly what she understood. And I think he said, well, yeah, that's that goes without saying, right? Pretty much everybody understands spirit. But little did we know that's exactly what it was, because there was something that drew her there, right? And like I'm saying, her husband was calling her. He actually was calling out to her at least 3 times to just try to get her to just, hey, let's go, let's just go. But for men that you don't know, you've probably never seen us before, we don't know her, and you don't even understand what we're saying, but for some reason she was compelled to stand there and listen. And then the first thing she asked for was prayer, right? So here she begins to speak, and
they had a missile.
The brother starts to translate for us.
So I forget what they called that missile, and it hit the chariot, and the chariot just moved, and it kept going down straight. Right? It kept going. What's that? What does he want to say? Okay, maybe she's asking, what are you saying?
So yeah, so she's basically, she hears him speaking, but she doesn't understand. So I guess she was asking, like, what is he talking about, or what is he trying to say?
Oh yeah, we going into habla English. No, habla.
Yeah, so he was asking, do you speak English?
Está hablando de Dios.
Sí, yo sé, de Diosito, pero no sé qué quiere decir.
She said she don't know what he's saying. Yeah, estamos
Oh,
profetas, los profetas.
sí.
¿Qué
quiere decir eso?
Palabras de Dios.
Yo sé.
Yeah. So there her husband comes. So he went around, because he was all the way in the back. So he went all the way around, and then he basically came over, because now she starts talking to us. I'm sure from in his mind, the first time, he's just like, yo, like, these are a whole bunch of men you don't know, right? Like, why are you just conversing? Like, what's going on? Like, you got to be careful, that kind of thing. But so she's telling us that's her husband.
Oh, no.
El muchacho.
Estamos hablando de
Sí. Entonces, no, yo quiero que oren por nosotros. Por favor.
So, okay, so esto es las palabras de Dios.
Por favor.
En nombre de.
So yeah, I think at this point, seeing her hand, I think at this point she's asking for us to, like, pray for her. So that's when I just, like, reached to get ChatGPT. I mean, we got the technology, got to use it. So I just asked it to translate what she's saying, so we can see, because it sounded like she was asking for something, right? She kept repeating "por favor," which I believe is like please. But
Dios es Yahweh.
so he tells them, right, that the name of God is Yahweh.
Por favor. Yo soy creyente de Dios. Soy creyente de Dios.
See, so she keep. I'm not a native Spanish speaker, so I didn't understand that.
Entonces quiero que oren por nosotros. ¿Puede?
Speak.
Quiero que oren por nosotros.
I wish Sean was there.
Yeah. So the AI responds translating what she said. The camera didn't pick it up though, so you probably can't hear it. But
Can you say that again?
I just asked it to repeat what it is that it was translating.
Say it. Yeah, say that. See. Bars.
So the AI said prayer, basically, like that's what she was asking for. And then that's why we said see, like, yeah, okay, we can pray for you. It comes over here. Now where we were standing was a bit elevated, versus like just the regular ground. And she actually like got on her knees, right, and put her hands, like she basically bowed her head, got on her knees, and just like was just there waiting for us to pray for her.
Coming up asking, for prayers, right? If we could pray for her. And why do you think that is? The spirit that led her here, because she senses the spirit of the Lord with us. She didn't go to no pastor and go say, pray for me. She came up to the prophets of the Lord to ask for prayer. Turned her away. Right? That's exactly.
Say 22. Let's say 22. Okay.
That's the spirit. You understand the anointing prayer? Woman that watched how shall I speak?
This is the scripture he just called for, so I'm gonna read it. Isaiah 14:21. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. Oh shit! That they did not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, saith Yahweh. So esto es Dios va a romper todo Babilonia.
I'll say the prayer. I'll just say the prayer.
Yeah, so that's the precept that he asked for. Now, the brother actually was letting us know, like, at the end of it, it was it's kind of like he just asked, like he was sort of just quoted it, but he didn't really have context as to what it's really talking about.
America is Babilonia.
Yeah, so at this point she was there, she was on her basically her knees, and so we just decided to the spirit just had us pray over her, right, and anoint her, right. So we said what we're about to say, the anointing prayer over her, and then actually the brother Shalom actually put the oil over her, anointed her and her husband, and then before we let them go.
That's right. Yeah, but the Peter. Oh, that's her husband? Oh, that's
Yeah, and so basically she was actually crying, right? When she went down, she was actually weeping. And then that's right before we said the prayer for her. So you could tell that she was actually sincere, and she, like I said, the thing that really stood out was, coming up, it's not like you knew, oh, these are the Israelites, and she just came up. And so the only thing that could have possibly drawn her there to sincerely, see that and inquire and want to know what are they talking about, and then ask for prayers and then sincerely pray. Like she went down and started crying, and that's why, we lifted her up, anointed her and her husband, and then let them go, but it was definitely a very spiritual moment. I'll just finish playing this part real quick.
Hey, whatever brother can, man. I gotta preach it first. I'd send him past that.
But yeah, and then they pretty much left. So, from what I perceived, she looked like she was in pain or she was going through something. It didn't look like they were, let's just say, living the most comfortable life. But through the Spirit, right, we're coming into those times where you will have situations like this, and we believe that through the Spirit, by praying for them, that is powerful enough to actually heal her of whatever she may be going through, and and her husband as well, right? Because the Lord sees that. And remember, when you read in the scriptures, Yahweh always mentioned, right, about the faith of whoever it was that was seeking that healing. Okay, whether they sincerely believed and their faith was what made them whole. And what's very spiritual is, the brother Ishar, he let us know, like, he's not a native, like, fluent Spanish speaker. The elder Shai in our camp, he's more, fluent with the Spanish, right? But the Lord had it to where right at this moment he wasn't there, so because it could have gone, very differently. He would just easily translated it, but the Lord had it play out like this for a reason, which goes to show that regardless of that language barrier, it was the Spirit, okay, that drew her there for this moment, and we were definitely excited in the Spirit because it was a beautiful thing, but at the same time, it shows you that our people do need that healing. Okay. And so by sincerely praying to the Heavenly Father, right, over her, to the Heavenly Father and his Son in their true Hebrew names, we believe that whatever it is, the Lord is going to have mercy on them, hopefully, and heal them of that. Okay. But next time it could be somebody that's blind. It could be somebody that's maimed, or somebody that's in a wheelchair or whatnot. Right. The scriptures mention, I'm going to get that real quick. When the Lord sent out his disciples, right, Matthew 10:5, these 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give. Now, back then, the spiritual power was more apparent, okay, in the physical acts. But now, right, even though we may not be physically raising people from the dead, right, or actually physically cleansing lepers right in real time before our eyes, we still have to believe that the word, by praying or giving them the word, it's enough, because there are a lot of precepts and a lot of chapters that go into that about the healing of the people of the Lord, starting with the hearing of the words of the Lord. Okay, so you have to believe, because we don't know what's going on since they left, right? We don't know what the Lord could have done or is doing. But now with this gospel, with this truth, and with the names Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, we have to believe that those are powerful enough to still, perform, to do these things, right, for whoever the Lord sees fit or has mercy on. Okay, but don't be surprised if the Lord does have it manifest, into more than just prayer. You have somebody that comes up, they're injured or whatever the case is, and instantly the Spirit jumps on a brother or an elder or whoever it may be, and right on live, you see a miracle happen. The Lord said he's going to do great things in these times. Okay, so it's all part of the ministry, is all part of the work. But the point is, you have to sincerely believe, okay, in what it is that you're teaching. And I know that seeing it on camera is one thing, but being there in person, experiencing it in person, it feels completely different as well. So I also want to get this, which we pulled up with it, like we pulled up this precept, but we never got to go into it. But I'm going to go into it now, okay? Because at the end of the day, the most important and the most valuable and beneficial thing that really you can give to an Israelite is the truth. Okay, that is the ultimate healing. That is the treasure. That's why it's likened onto all of these different things that are beneficial and sustenance to life. Okay, and that's why the Lord said, "Freely you have received, freely give." Because our people, as you can see, are suffering. A lot of people are going through a lot of hardships. A lot of people are lost, and they just know that they're in pain or they're going through a hard time, but they're lost. So they don't know the way back. You know, it's like a sheep that wandered off too far and it doesn't know the way back to the fold. And it's hungry and it's afraid and it's dark and whatnot, you know, and there are wolves out there, but it can't find a way back. And that's why the Lord sent us. And that's why it's important and it's needful for us to teach and teach the correct thing and remain diligent in it. Because you may think that, you know, you got most or all of the sheep, but there may be one or two stragglers out there. And that's why it's important for us to remain diligent and constantly keep on teaching, even though it feels like it's the same thing over and over again, or it's just recurring. Guess what? If that shepherd doesn't do those last rounds, he may miss that one straggler. And you don't want that to be the case, because these are not our sheep. These are the sheep of the Heavenly Father, Bahasham Yahushai. And we have been, they have committed them to our charge. So we are responsible for the precious sheep of the Lord. And you don't want to be a shepherd that went in, due to lack of diligence or due to laziness or due to whatever excuse you may try to come up with, did not do your best to watch over the sheep of the Lord. Spiritual, right? Accuracy you can trust. And that's the kind of accuracy you want to exhibit for the Lord. So this is the book of Acts, chapter 3, verse 1. Now Peter and John went up together into the temple at the hour of prayer, being the 9th hour. And a certain man, lame from his mother's womb, was carried, whom, when they laid daily at the gate of the temple, which is called Beautiful, to ask alms of them that entered into the temple. So he was one that would, anybody that's going in, he would just ask, if you have anything, give it to me. If you have anything, give it to me. Who, seeing Peter and John about to go into the temple, asked an alms. And what's beautiful is, he probably didn't expect that what he was about to get was much better than alms. And Peter, fastening his eyes upon him with John, said, "Look on us." And he gave heed unto them, expecting to receive something of them. So he thought that they were about to give him some money. Like, "Oh yeah, hold on a second, I got you." Then Peter said, "Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have give I thee. In the name of Yahushai Hamashiach of Nazareth, rise up and walk." And that was much more valuable than that silver and gold. And by that, I'm not just referring to the healing or the ability for him to walk, but the name. Okay, because this is the power. This is what makes this sentence here a reality. It's the name. Okay, and though in English it's been translated as Jesus Christ, in Hebrew, because we know Peter didn't say this. In Hebrew, he said what I just said, which was Yahushai Hamashiach, Yahushai the anointed. All right, so in the name of Yahushai, rise up and walk. And guess what? And they took him by his right, or by the right hand, and lifted him up. They didn't doubt. They weren't wavering. Why would they? They knew the power in the name of the Lord. So when they said that, it wasn't like, "Oh, careful, you're going to hurt him." They knew instantly that, like, by telling you to stand up and walk and us lifting you up, nothing else is going to happen but you standing up and walking. It's literally like, I don't even know what's in it. It's like when you tell somebody, "Can you pass me that bottle of water right there?" And then they go to reach for it and bring it to you. There's literally nothing else. You're not expecting the fact that they go to grab it, their hand is going to go right through it. No, you don't even think about it, because you already expect the outcome. What else is going to happen when you tell somebody, "Hey, can you pass me that bottle of water?" Other than them saying no, right? They're going to grab it and they're going to pass it to you. So when Peter and John said this and they went and lifted him up, in their minds, there was no other outcome other than him standing up and walking. And guess what happened? and immediately his feet and ankle bones received strength. Okay. And this is a great sight to see. I mean, much more to experience, right? Can you imagine what that would be like? But what preceded it was what? That faith on both parts, right? On the side of the apostles and also on the side of this individual. And he, leaping up, stood. So he actually felt his body being healed. And as he was being lifted up, he leaped. He stood up and walked and entered with them into the temple, walking and leaping and praising God. Can you imagine that? So he was somebody that would likely be known by a lot of people because every time they go to the temple, they would see him there. So they knew. I mean, I'm sure people even referenced him as like the lame man by the temple, something like that. Oh yeah, the lame man by the temple. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows who that is. So when they see him, they recognize him, or their brain has registered him as the lame man by the temple. So how is the lame man by the temple not laming anymore, but rather leaping? A little bit of cognitive dissonance over there, right? The brain is like, I'm seeing something, but it's not registering with what I know. What's going on here? Well, what's going on is the power of the Lord being made manifest. And we believe through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai that it will be made manifest again on many different levels. As a matter of fact, the fact that we are awoken and we know this truth and we know this knowledge and we feel the spirit of the Lord dealing with us, that in itself is already the confirmation that the power of the Lord is already working. Verse 9, and all the people saw him walking and praising God, and they knew that it was he which sat for alms at the beautiful gate of the temple. And they were filled with wonder and amazement at what had happened unto him. So they were like, whoa. I mean, who wouldn't be? It's for years. I mean, what is it? From his mother's womb, right? From his mother's womb, he was carried. So what's going on here? How is he leaping all about? So of course people were shocked and they were wondering like, whoa, what? Hey, like they probably coming up close looking like, yo, his feet, they look, he's fine. He's fully healed. Verse 11, and as the lame man which was healed held Peter and John, all the people ran together onto them in the porch that is called Solomon's, greatly wondering. Right. So a crowd formed very quickly. And that's what happens. If you did that today, here it is, you're teaching, somebody who's in a wheelchair comes up and they ask, or the spirit jumps on you, because, I'm sure should a scenario like that play out, when the spirit, wants you to do something, when the Lord wants you to do something and he puts the spirit upon you, you're just going to do it. You're not really going to think much about it. Something is just going to make you do it. You're just going to feel like, well, that's the right thing to do right now, so let me just do it. It's going to feel like just like when you're thirsty and you get up and you go to your kitchen to get water, you just do it, right? You're not wondering, damn, is the water going to pour into the cup, or like, what if it shifts? What if there's a rift, and then the water starts going up and drops from my seat? You're not thinking of that. You're just thinking of pouring the water and you're drinking it. Okay. So a crowd forms. They're all wondering like, yo, this is crazy. Verse 12, and when Peter saw it, he answered unto the people, ye men of Israel, why marvel ye at this? So it's not like Peter and John were losing their marbles. Oh, wow. Did we just do that? Oh, my goodness. They had been with Yahweh. They were performing miracles. They already knew how this goes, because what? They were full of faith. So they were saying, right, as Peter said, like, why are you marveling? Why are you in such amazement? Why are you losing your mind? Or why look ye so earnestly on us, as though by our power or holiness we had made this man to walk? And that's typical human nature, right? You even see that with the account of the Apostle Paul and Barnabas. When people see miracles or they see stuff like that, they're so quick to want to attribute it to carnality. Oh, look, these men did it. Oh, wow. Who are these? But Peter did the right thing here, right? Which was, to call them out and say, look, you looking at us like we are some, like we did this of our own power. Verse 13, and that's one of the most important things that cannot be stressed enough. The glory, the reverence, all of those things go first to Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, because we are vessels. Okay. When you go to a concert to listen to your favorite artist, you don't pay money to go and hear the microphone. It's not the mic. Nobody cares about the mic, because when the mic dies or something malfunctions, they just get a new one. You go for the artist, the one using the instrument. So we are the instrument that's being used. Hence, we don't have, it's not our job or our role to try and take credit for that of the Spirit. We should just be glad and grateful that the Spirit is using us as a vessel, and lo willing for righteousness and not the other way around, or not for wickedness, I should say. So as Peter said, the God of Abraham and of Isaac and of Jacob, the God of our fathers hath glorified his son Yahushua, whom ye delivered up and denied him in the presence of Pilate when he was determined to let him go. So, now you're looking at us and now, wow, this is crazy. They just performed a miracle. Guess what? The same one that you guys consented to have him crucified, even when Pilate was ready to let him go. Yeah, it's through his name, right? His father and him that we did this. And it's kind of like if you tell somebody something, a deep saying, right? Tell them a deep saying, and then you tie it with the scriptures. Oh, that's from the Bible. They really just downplay. Oh yeah, well yeah, that's that Bible stuff. But then you say the same deep saying and just say, oh, it was a famous philosopher who quoted that. Oh wow, damn, that's deep. Damn, I never really thought about that. But it's just because you said, but then you reveal it to them that actually is from the Bible. Oh, okay, all right, that's cool. So like Peter's saying here, had Peter said, yeah, we did this of our own power, they would be willing to glorify and idolize them. But letting them know, no, this is not of us. It's the same. Isn't it interesting? Is it not interesting that Yahushua performed miracles in their presence? They called him a demon. They said he was using the power of Satan. They said he was a blasphemer, and they crucified him. His disciples come afterwards, which they were with him there, and they perform miracles, and you're ready to glorify. You're looking in awe. Jake, man. Anyway, verse 14. But ye denied the Holy One and the just, and desired a murderer to be granted unto you, and killed the Prince of Life, whom God hath raised from the dead, whereof we are witnesses. And his name, through faith in his name, hath made this man strong. See, faith in his what? In his name. So guess what? If the Lord was to put spiritual power on this earth tonight or tomorrow, IUIC, you ain't getting it, because you are not using the name of the Lord. You downplay the name of the Lord. And majority of other groups that don't have faith, guess what? It's not gonna work. Okay, you're gonna end up like the sons of Sceva and get torn up by demons. The demon that's causing the infirmity in that person who's coming to get healed is going to jump on you. Okay, but guess what? That he set up men of faith over us, right? Starting with our elders and apostles on down, and their elders, okay, so that we may be taught and come up in the right way. So as it says here, whom ye see and know, yea, the faith which is by him hath given him this perfect soundness in the presence of you all. See, and that's the beautiful thing about the Spirit of the Lord, is that there's no side effect. The man didn't get his ability to walk back and now he has a headache, or he has to take antibiotics, or he has to take this prescription for a month, and then if he feels any weirdness, just come back, and we'll reassess. Have you noticed when Esau does something, whether it's surgery or whatever the case is, you got pre-op and then post-op, and then you got to get the recovery, and then you're in pain, and then you got to take these meds and painkillers, and this is supposed to be something that's healing, a healing process, and yet it's filled with pain. But when the Lord does it, done. And this man was never going to come back and say, oh, remember the last time you healed me? Yeah. It didn't work anymore. You know, I woke up another day and my legs went back to being being lame, you know, being weak. No. That's why it's perfect soundness. That is the power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, the God that we serve, the one true living God. And guess what? The Lord is living. And you know what? He's going to show that he is living. For a long time, a lot of people in the world only knew the Lord as a legend, you know, as some, you know, oh, the God who flooded the earth. But he made that, you know, he made his presence known real quick when he did what he did to Egypt. And what do you think he's going to do to this Egypt? Anyway, that's pretty much it on that. Just wanted to go into that real quick. Like I said, I was watching the brother's video, Malak Rayab, GMS Strive for the Masteries 144. I didn't get to see the whole thing, you know, but it reminded me, you know, inspired me to do this lesson as well, and to just give some context around that day, you know, what happened. So, hey, Lord willing, you know, it escalates. It only escalates. Lord willing, she, you know, whatever she was going through, you know, the Lord heals her and her husband, and it escalates, you know, and may next time, may it, you know, somebody that's blind, somebody that's lame, somebody that's whatever the case is, and you know, the Lord has them healed right then and there, you know. Anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rechak Wadash. And until next time, Shalom.